Well, thank you. We want to welcome you to the third webinar series on DataPoem's Connected Intelligence series entitled Breaking Intelligence Silos, a new era in forecasting, marketing strategy planning, and optimization. For you that have been with us since the beginning, we appreciate that. For those that are new, I just want to give you a little brief overview of DataPoem. So DataPoem is a comprehensive connected intelligence and growth planning measurement and optimization service used by Fortune 500 companies and their respective agencies. We're designed to empower data-driven decision-making and agile marketing strategies by revolutionizing the use of causal AI and neural networks. Our topic today is focused on unified forecasting. In this session, we'll explore how integrating intelligence from various departments such as sales, marketing, and operations can revolutionize forecasting accuracy and better align strategic goals between departments. By breaking down these silos and harnessing the collective power of your organizations, you can achieve more accurate predictions and drive better decision-making. Hosting for today will be Bharath Gadam. Bharath is the co-founder and CEO of DataPoem, and he's also my boss. And my name is Tom O'Sullivan. I'm the SVP of Client Engagement. Bharath?
Thanks, Tom. Hi, guys. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you're joining. So this is a very, very interesting, evolving conversation, what we're having with clients. What's happening is, in a way, over a period of time, organizations, for their different purposes of planning, forecasting, and optimization, have started using multiple tools, models, and because of these legacy systems, there is a certain state of play which is creating a big issue. So today we're going to cover that. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to take you through the initial part of the current state of play in the organization, what are the business challenges because of that, and how we can solve it through connected intelligence and causal AI. And then we can take questions, and then I can run an example of how a connected intelligence system can be used to create these forecasting scenarios. Let me straight get into it. So as the topic suggested, in terms of what's the biggest challenge, all of you would experience this. Whoever has worked in organization in planning and forecasting and optimization, all of us would be very familiar with this situation where there is intelligence across the organization. There's a lot of investments that have gone into building this intelligence. The only issue in all of this, and that's becoming a big critical issue, is the intelligence silos. Not having intelligence is one thing, but having siloed intelligence is is a biggest problem, right? So what happened over a period of time is that organization across different functions, whether it is marketing function, sales function, shopper marketing function, e-com function, different functions and different channels as the market kind of evolved or the consumer behavior kind of evolved, have kind of got into these siloed functions, creating value and adding more demand to the overall business, or ensuring that we capture the consumer, demand in a more effective manner. Because of that, what happened is that every function started to build its own measurement system or intelligence system, kind of use that as a siloed planning and optimization. All of us are very much familiar with the market mix modeling used for media ROI measurement and in a way optimization. There's a trade optimization done by the trade and sales team. Then there is e-com team running their own e-com ROI intelligence. Then the overall pricing team is doing kind of a pricing model, which is not kind of taking the interconnected effects or the cross-channel synergies or cross-function synergies into picture. All of this is created a very, very dysfunctional or a siloed forecasting system or a forecasting system which is not completely capturing all the elements of forecasting because each team is kind of doing within functional planning and optimization. But what's missing is that at a strategic level or a planning level, the forecasting and the optimal allocation is kind of getting sacrificed in a big way, right? So a lot of times what happens is that um, a demand planning team, when they're trying to build their forecasting for the year, they're all taking inputs from individual functional teams and kind of allocating it in a very linear manner. What is missing is this whole uh, capturing cross-channel, cross-functional synergies, which actually create much more incremental value. And because of that, the optimal allocation of the dollars available for business for increased demand generation is kind of not allocated in a very optimal manner. So while there is a functional siloed optimization is getting done, but at a strategic level, the optimal allocation of budget is not getting done. And because there is not a very robust, unified, uh, forecasting system with all the drivers built into it with cross-functional synergies, even the forecasting accuracies are not very, very robust, right? So it creates an issue at the forecasting level in a appropriate manner in terms of demand planning, as well as ensuring that you allocate your budgets in a most optimal manner. So that is the biggest challenge that organizations right now face, and the solution is kind of very intuitive. All of us would want to do it, uh, which is primarily a connected intelligence hub, which is kind of having one unified data, which is building an intelligence system, which not only captures the independent effect, but also interconnected effect, right? So that what happens is that you understand the direct impact, but you also understand the synergistic impact that is happening together, so that when you actually have to build your demand planning, growth planning uh, across multiple drivers of an organization, it will be far more accurate in terms of forecasting, as well as kind of building a very powerful optimal allocation of your budgets across different functions. So the paradigm is kind of getting reversed. Instead of a bottom up approach where you actually build these functional level plans and kind of merging at a strategic level, kind of create a unified top-down version where you can actually not only uh, allocate the budgets in an optimal manner by each function, but also create a unified forecasting system which can understand the effectiveness and efficiency and optimize efficiencies at different functional levels, right?
Well, I do have a question for you on this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand from a company standpoint that connected growth planning and connected intelligence makes sense, right? So you want to be able to roll that up to a corporate level so that you can actually
Yeah.
look at the allocations that you'd have it across individual quote unquote silos.
Correct.
What about me? right? I'm the head of shopper and retail ROI. I understand the benefit for the company. What is the benefit for me within my group? I understand that we've been kind of the feedback that I've been getting is that we're kind of closed loop in terms of how we're looking at what's the benefit for me overall.
See, the benefit is at two levels, right? One, each driver of business gets the most optimal allocation in terms of how it is generating demand. That's the first level. At an individual function level, you have one single metric that is getting optimized across the organization and across tactics so that your ability to um get your budgets allocated for the right kind of tactics and kind of utilizing the same unified model for your tactical planning and optimization helps the organization and the individual function to kind of plan and optimize in a more efficient manner, right? So that there is no delay in decision making. It is one single unified system which is kind of optimizing from top to bottom. You don't have to kind of build one more side model to kind of create this one more tactical level planning and optimization. It is done at one single level, one single model level, so that you can utilize not only the uh, allocation of budgets, but also how do you now optimize tactics in an ongoing manner so that you can actually make any changes or adjustments to your tactic level execution in an ongoing manner.
Thank you.
Right. So the other important thing that happens is, and that's what a lot of our clients that we talk to tell us that, hey, we have a great um, intelligence systems at individual functional level. What we require is the demand planning system, which can help us, kind of unify the overall thing. In a way, the requirement is for an enterprise level ROI system, which can, kind of unify all the different drivers in one single way or one unified way of looking at things, rather than each model having each individual measurement metric, while everything is ROI, but because it's not unified, one model's ROI is not same as the other model's ROI because the cross-channel synergies are not fully captured, all tactics are not captured. So it becomes a very siloed way of looking at organization, right? So that's where a lot of efficiencies and effectiveness actually comes in. And a lot of people ask us, hey, why is that it's not done before? Because it's intuitively everyone understands that this is how it should be done. Uh, the biggest problem of why, the biggest challenge why even organizations, if they want to build this, is the inherent problem of the learning system or optimization systems right now that are available, right? All the existing methodologies, which is statistical level, statistical modeling, econometric modeling, or forecast or optimization systems, uh, cannot actually capture cross-channel synergies or cross-functional synergies. And that's where create a problem. Like, for example, if you take um, a regular use case of, let's say, for example, a siloed model system where you have to kind of build a plan, and now suddenly you want to understand, you want to take a pricing increase, right? And you would want to understand, hey, how now I'm increasing price, how do I kind of understand what is that I can do to offset the drop in sales volumes or revenues because of price increase? Uh, and that's where the a typical problem comes, because then there are three models which are kind of trying to solve this problem. Pricing model will give you, hey, what is the drop, without understanding what is the impact of that on media ROI as well as trade ROI and shop ROI. It's not that pricing operates in a isolated system to trade efficiencies or effectiveness or a shopper effectiveness or a media effectiveness, right? Unless the model understands the impact of price on media and other stuff, it becomes a very difficult thing to actually create a scenario where you have a overall forecasting, which is understanding how much is it impacting because of the pricing, right? And then how do I offset it? So because of these very, very common scenarios that happen in an organization, and when you have these intelligence silos, now the decision making also what happens is, okay, the pricing team actually gives the pricing models output, then it goes to the media teams, shopper teams, trade teams, etc. And everywhere it is assumed that the pricing rises unified impact, and everyone is trying to kind of build this optimization to offset that. Uh, and again, there itself, again, the issue is if you don't have a unified system, you really can't create a very robust forecasting or a scenario planning where the system is understanding impact of one over the other, right? And this is one common example. It can be any other ways, right? What happens if the shopper ROI is increasing? What happens if the trade ROI is increasing? Suddenly now there's a retail media. How is retail media adding into the overall mix? And how can we actually integrate that into the overall planning and hence build a much more robust forecasting is a issue. So the like I said, the limitations of why a siloed intelligence system exists is primarily because the methodologies or the existing methodologies that are available out there are all siloed in nature, which cannot kind of capture what we're trying to do. So what
So to
we, yeah,
so to sum this up a bit, you're saying that the whole is more important than the individual parts per se. So not mitigating the parts because the
yes,
parts actually fill up to the whole. Now, when you look at those interactions between shopper marketing versus some of the other silos that you had mentioned, when you say the synergy bit about that, what do you actually mean by the synergy that's occurring to that, and how does that roll up to the overall, say, marketing ROI if we're utilizing that as the proxy?
yeah, super question, right? So what happens is that let's assume that there is a price, there's a, let's say, a trade model, marketing media model, and there's a shopper model, all built in silos, right? Using statistical methods, as Bayesian or any uh, any modeling techniques. What happens there is that because the system is not able to understand impact of media on shopper or media on trade or trade on shopper or shopper on media, that's called in a way cross-channel synergies or cross-functional synergies, right? You're talking about. What our experience tells us is that the cross-functional synergies in terms of impact is around 15 to 20% at the minimum range to almost 30 to 40% at the highest level. So imagine a system which is telling you that, hey, your overall incremental sales because of all your media, shopper, trade, retail, promotions, coupons is around, let's say, $100. The actual impact that it has would have created is either $120 or $140, right? Imagine if you make a plan which is not actually capturing that, your forecasting accuracies and your overall effectiveness of the ROI, which is effectiveness of the budget allocation, will all go for a toss. Like in a way, it's almost underreported most of the times or not captured, which has a huge implication on many things, right? Which means that the organization is not able to utilize the monies in the most effective manner. It's not able to invest in the right tactics, which are creating a impact, and hence the overall enterprise level budget allocation is suboptimal. I'll show you when we talk about in one of the case studies that I'm going to show you about how this thing what you just mentioned kind of gets highlighted, right? So coming back in terms of the methodology, right? So what we've done is we needed to create a system which kind of captures the interconnected synergies as well as comprehensiveness of different factors that are causal factors that are impacting. We moved from a correlation based methodologies which create a lot of these limitations to causal based methodologies, right? So that's what we kind of created, what is called a causal AI framework, which actually takes into consideration all the causal factors for any business, right from within media factors, retail media, distribution, product launches, external factors, uh, you know, pricing, promotion, competition, um, any aggregators, coupons, all causal factors are taken into consideration to kind of build the model without leaving out anything. Once you have all the causal factors within the model, what we do is we build a deep neural network based model, which actually kind of captures both the direct impact as well as the indirect impact or the synergistic impact that we talked about earlier across all factors, right? And it is done at a very granular level so that all the nuances and the synergies are captured from top to bottom. And once the system understands the different impacts of both direct and indirect effect or synergistic effect, it is able to create a much more robust forecasting and scenario planning. And how do we actually get to the actual causal impact? Is what we use a Jodya Pearl's causal framework, where we actually create the or understand the causal impact or explainability to a factor called to a thing called counterfactuals, right? It's a very intuitive concept of understanding whether a variable or a feature is actually creating impact, uh, which works on a concept called missingness, right? What happens here is that the system is trying to understand the presence or absence of any particular feature. How is it impacting the sales or the KPI in a connected manner? So in this example here, if you look at it, if there are three features, what the system is trying to understand in a mathematical way is a presence or absence of TV. Is there creating any impact on the sales? The effect of any impact on sales when the TV is not present in this case actually helps you to understand what is the causal impact of that feature on the overall sales, right? Because of this counterfactual method for causal impact creation or understanding causal impact, we are able to get very, very high levels of forecasting accuracies, right? And in fact, our forecasting accuracies are anywhere between 90 to 95% almost at the end of 1 year, right? So this is one of the primary reason why we're able to get very high level of forecasting accuracies. And the second factor is in terms of understanding or utilizing the cross-functional synergies in the overall system.
Question for you.
Yeah.
I noticed on the chart where you actually had all the different interactions across the board, and then also where you actually had, this one and the one after, I think it's the one after this, where you have all the different input variables. In the model that, when I was out on the streets and I was working directly with them, we had a limitation in terms of what we could actually put within a given model in terms of input variables. What makes DataPoem's approach different than what has been in the business, I'll be honest with you, for 20, 25 plus years in terms of the amount of input variables that you can have.
Yeah. See, the biggest limitation for all these models to be able to, the reason, like I said, one of the reasons why the siloed intelligence uh, uh, got created is because of this limitation of the factors that you can take in a model, 50, 60 maximum that you can take, whereas any business is almost operating at 300 to 400 variables minimum, right? And that's where the limitation of the existing, whether it's a Bayesian model or a frequentist model or any econometric modeling that gets done, limits the number of features that you can take, right? Whereas with deep neural networks, you can go in with 300 to 500 features, depending on the data range availability. So you can actually accommodate almost comprehensive causal factors that actually impact the business, right? And that's the reason why deep neural networks is a very, very powerful force. I mean, if you look at it, the LLM models that we are using, all of us are using in ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, primarily, it takes in almost millions of features, right? The inherent ability of neural networks is its ability to kind of absorb as many input variables to get you the most robust intelligence out there.
One other question based upon that comment that you made. So typical models, 50, 60, maybe 75 input variables overall, right? And what you're saying is because of a neural network, we have the capability of doing 300 or 300 plus different variables in the model.
Yeah.
Inherently, what I'm thinking of based upon that is that the model is going to be slow. I mean, it's going to take a long time for you to deliver estimates to me because you got 6 times the amount of data that's being pushed through the funnel. Explain that to me in terms of when can I expect data, how frequent when I expect data, and is there a huge data lag that I have to deal with? Because I'm dealing with it in most cases 3 months, 6 months, or whatever the case may be. How do you solve for that?
Yeah, so most of our models we deliver at a monthly cadence, right? So with a lag of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So for example, any campaign that you would have done last month, right, we would have delivered within 2 to 3 weeks of the following month, so that you can actually have a very, very agile, robust learning system which can capture all these features and deliver to you in terms of what's the outcome, right? There are some cases where the brands want to say, hey, I would like to understand at a overall level, on a quarterly level, but tell me on a monthly level, functional, tactical level, like, what's the media ROI? What is the shopper ROI? Or what is a TV ROI? What is a Amazon ROI? Very tactical level is done, people use it on a monthly basis. At a overall level, they actually review it on a quarterly basis, but we actually deliver everything on a monthly basis with a two-week lag in a way.
Is that a function of the methodology that you're utilizing, or is it a function of the technology that's being utilized by Datapalm, or a combination of both?
It's combination of everything, right? It is the data collection system the data hub that we have, which is you collate all the external data uh, as fast as possible, and to be able to kind of once you get the data, you collect it, you collate it, you validate it with automated systems to kind of get the model ready and utilize what is called a transfer learning technique to kind of build incremental models in a very, very fast pace, so that the time to insight is like very fast, um, rather than kind of building every month a model, which is not humanly possible in the earlier paradigm. Okay. So let me just take you through an example of one use case of how we kind of delivered this, right? So there's this brand which is kind of a very large CPG brand, uh, spending money across all uh, very common levers like brand media, trade, shopper, consumer promo, e-commerce. And what we've given them is what is called enterprise level ROI, which is built within one single model, taking into consideration all the factors, right? Which helps the model to not only give you a very uh, robust measurement of ROI or a very accurate measurement of ROI, but also helps you to understand, like we said, the synergies. Like you were talking about earlier, Tom, about synergies, right? What we're able to understand is that if these different drivers in this case would have been done in siloed manner, you would have got only 29% of your incremental sales. But because they're all done together, you're able to add another 6% of incremental sales, which, like I was telling you about, close to 20% of your overall incremental sales were not getting captured when you do a siloed model, right? So that is the big change, right? Moment when you have an understanding of how these different levers are, building synergies, you're able to get much more robust accuracies. And
So
also,
you're
if you look
saying
at
that
it,
you're
yeah,
basically saying that in that situation, the numbers that have been given to the CFO or my executive management team has actually not shown me, my marketing team, in the best light. In fact,
yes,
it's under delivering. So when my CFO is beating me over the head saying, why are you not delivering a higher return on investment for all of the marketing spend that we have? In fact, what we're doing is we're showing them a number that could be anywhere between 15 to 25% lower than it really is.
absolutely. I think that is the biggest challenge, right? Because of that, what happens is brand investments will drop down, investment allocations across, all the demand drivers drop down. It's a at a very tactical level, very dangerous, but at a long-term level, imagine the investments in brand depleting and hence creating a much larger effect, right? So that is a bigger issue, like I was telling about having this intelligence. Also, you would realize that each driver has a different synergistic effect on one another. Like, for example, in this case, if you look at it, uh, the biggest beneficiary of the cross-channel synergy is trade, right? Where almost 47% of its actual value is not getting captured if you do it in a siloed manner, right? So it's a very critical, it's very critical and important to understand the synergies to actually have a very accurate and robust forecasting allocation and accuracy. Yeah, so you can look at using, because now you have all the data, all the drivers in one single model. You can create as many scenarios as possible. In this case, let's say it's a 5% growth target. How do we kind of achieve it with optimal allocation, right? It's forecasting and optimization together and not in siloed pieces, right? That's an important aspect where you allocate it also in an optimal manner, but you're also forecasting the overall model. When there's just a growth scenario, it's very easy. Uh, what happens is when you have a price increase or a new launch or any change in the market, that's when the unified model kind of builds up. Like, for example, in this case, the same scenario, if you kind of increase the price by 5%, there is a 4% drop in the sales despite the despite the price increase. The revenues are dropping by 4%, which is a very critical thing for the business to understand and use that information to kind of create a strategy which will offset that price increase, right? And when you do that, you need to understand what is the best way to do that, right? And that's where again, a unified system with every driver that is built into it actually helps you to do that, right? And that's what the system is able to help you get there, where you have not only tell you what is the incremental budgets required to offset it, but also to help you understand where is that allocated in a most optimal manner, right? And you can
So in the
build multiple.
previous,
Yeah,
so the previous slide you actually showed there was a decrease in expected revenue by I think 60 million, give or take.
yeah,
The
yeah,
$60 million. So what you're saying in the next slide, so that $60 million can be mitigated by an increase in terms of marketing budget allocation of $9 million. And that brings me to a net zero. So for 9 million bucks, I save 60. That's a pretty good return on investment.
correct. Because it's getting optimized across all drivers. If you look at it,
Right.
brand media is increased, shopper is slightly reduced, trade is kind of kept as it is. So it's a allocation, not only what is the incremental budget you require, you also know where is that money to be deployed, right? It's both ways. It's working both ways, right?
So
And then
you're
if
saying that if I didn't optimize that 192 million that we have listed here on the predicted budget would be higher than this to be able
absolutely,
to allocate that $60 million of lost revenue. Got it. Okay.
absolutely. So what would have happened is if you would have, you know, allocated in a linear manner, you don't require 9 million. You almost require more than 18 million or plus, right? Because it's linear. But in this case, now the entire budget is getting optimized, not just the 9 million, right? Uh, and that's where the real power of the system actually comes in. So the optimization capability here is almost 15 to 20% at enterprise level, right? Not at a individual marketing level, trade level. It at an enterprise level, what is the overall ROI increase, right? And
So the
that
whole key,
helps.
yeah, so the whole key is that it's not just the increase in budget per se, but making sure that you're optimizing the budget appropriately to be able to mitigate the amount that you need to be able to offset the loss in revenue based upon the increase in price. If I captured that correctly, right?
Correct. Right. So that's the advantage of a unified forecasting system wherein you can actually capture everything. And the same thing applies to all the different, this is a CPG, even if it's a QSR where you're giving promotions and coupons along with media, how will it work? If you had a new launch, what happened? New product launch, what happens? Uh, every scenario, even if it's a auto category where there's a huge amount of dealer level incentives which actually kind of swing the conversion, we are able to understand, hey, what is the impact of marketing, what is impact of sales promotions or incentives in the final conversion, so that you can allocate it optimally by function and kind of drill it down to the tactic level, by regions, by tactic. So it is a very top down to bottom up. So you can actually build a top down plan and the individual functions can optimize within those tactics to give you very, very robust results. And the beauty of the agile system that we were talking about is that now the system is measuring it on an ongoing basis. And the system kind of tells you in an agile manner, hey, this is what our forecast is. Now the market kind of dynamics changed. Now this is how you should be kind of doing it, right? And that's again, a very unified way of looking at things in terms of different scenarios, uh, of how these different how the business is moving and how the intelligence system is helping you move in a very agile manner rather than very siloed decision making system, which will take a lot of time to understand why it is happening and how do we make changes accordingly, right? So the other key benefit. It helps you speed of decision making, optimal allocation, forecasting accuracies, and one unified way of looking at performance of the organization. Any questions?
The one question that I did see come up on the Q&A was, this sounds all well and good, right? Fantastic. I kind of get it. But it seems very difficult to do this from the building blocks, right? Getting the data together, getting the data cleansed, then having it into the individual groups, and the groups then have to bring it together in terms of an integrated model. How's that process work? How do you actually eliminate the pain, right, associated with that? What steps are there that eliminate that?
Yeah. So what's good with our system is that we understand this pain of data, operational pain of data collection, collation, and kind of unifying it together, right? So what we've done is that as much as possible, we've kind of bought in a lot of syndicated data sets for marketing, sales, external factors. So a lot of heavy lifting is done by our team. And in fact, even the other data sources, which are primarily inherent or internal, right? Our functional experts, along with the data team, work with those functional teams to kind of pull in data. For example, Amazon sales data, right? We have partnership with Amazon where we actually pull in data from Amazon directly, right? Where we don't have to wait for a client team to give us data. Similarly, the APIs that we have on different data sources like Google, Facebook, pulls in data automatically, and lot of data that we need for shopper, retail, trade, different kind of promos, coupons, right? We have a very structured framework of how different organizations kind of utilize this or kind of store this data in their data hub, their data lake, right? We can connect to them automatically, pull them in. Once it is pulled in, the operational part of doing it continuously is kind of eliminated, right? So there is initial 3 to 4 weeks of very high intensity handholding from our side, where we actually take the heavy lifting of, not only collection, but also validation. It's not on the client side. The onus is on us to actually do that. And once we get the validation ready, buy-in from all the teams, the magic starts to get created. So the heavy lifting is kind of reduced as much as possible because either the technology or the process actually takes care of a lot of it. And what the client teams are primarily doing is validation before we actually start the modeling process. So our typical, time to value of any of this situation is close to 10 to 12 weeks, right? Depending on the data maturity of different clients and the modeling maturity. But primarily by the end of 12 weeks, you have your model results for you to actually utilize them. And once you have them, then it's a monthly cycle.
That's what I was going to ask. Great. That's the exact question I was going to ask. So consistently, you'll get that monthly thereafter. And what is it? It's learning, right? So the model is learning on a month-by-month basis.
It's not, we are not just running the monthly inputs to give you the ROI. It is actually the system is learning continuously on a monthly basis so that you have the most up-to-date model capturing what is the changes in the dynamics of the business and giving you the outputs accordingly.
Great. Well, thank you, Bharat. I really do appreciate it. I don't have any additional questions through here, but more importantly, if any of the folks that are joining us today have any additional questions, please feel free to forward it to us. We'll be more than happy to answer it and get back to you in a timely fashion. We look forward to seeing you folks on the next session, which is tomorrow. So make sure you clear your slates for it. And we have a great meeting coming up with one of our agency partners, and then we also have one with our client partners as well. So thank you very much. We do appreciate it and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.